418 anonymous tips received year to date. And as reported, number of arrests since inception, 2,071. I'm not sure, Mr. Chair, if you wanted me to go into further detail with respect to
I don't think so. I think if people have read it, so go ahead.
So I'll start referring to the crime stats. Start with the violent crimes, including assault and domestic disturbances. So with respect to assaults, during the reported month, 16 actual events were investigated. That is down from the previous month and is less than the projected range for August.
Is there an explanation for that? Because it is a fly off the page type of number.
There's no immediate, there's no obvious explanation for it. There may be a number of variables, including things like weather, people vacationing elsewhere. I'd like to say it's police visibility. There's no clear reason why these numbers are down.
Okay, go ahead, John.
With respect to domestic disturbances, during the reported month, 58 actual events were investigated. That is actually up. Year to date is down compared to last year, but it is up over last month. Moving to property crime, break and enters. During the reported month, 11 actual events were investigated. That is also down and below the projected range for August.
So again, it's a fly off the page type number. Any explanation, or we're just same one for violent crime?
At this point, there's no clear indication as to why those numbers are down. I was in receipt of an email recently with respect to a number of break and enters in the St. Williams and Port Rowan area, and we can say that as a result of an investigation, an arrest was made, and individuals were held to account. An individual was held to account for those matters. Moving on to the frauds. So during the reported month, 10 actual events were investigated. And that was within the projected range for August. It is up over last month, but also down compared to last year. Moving to the mischiefs. During the reported month, we had 27 actual events investigated. That is below the projected range and down compared to last year. Thefts from motor vehicle. During the reported month, 8 actual events were investigated. That is below the projected range for August and also down. Theft of vehicles, 4 actual events were investigated. That is below the projected range for the month and also down. Theft under. During the reported month, 36 actual events were investigated. That is below the projected range for August and also down. Moving on to illicit drugs. During the reported month, 6 actual events were investigated. That is within the projected range for the month. And although down over last month, it is up compared to last year, which we will continue to monitor and will continue to address. As you may be aware, Mr. Chair, our Community Street Crime Unit was successful in 2 recent investigations, one involving a search warrant last week, and most recently a vehicle stop involving the seizure of illicit drugs. The initial one was estimated at about $55,000, and the second one about $70,000. Included in each of those was fentanyl, and obviously these are things that we continue to keep an eye on, and we'll continue to monitor very closely. Moving on to the traffic. So collision types for August reported below the projected range at 56. June and July saw collisions within the projected range for both months. Property damage collisions for August reported below the projected range at 34. Non-fatal injury collisions for August reported within the projected range at 20. Non-fatal collisions totaled 59 over the summer months of June, July, and a portion of August. Fatal collisions for August reported above the projected range at 2. Over the summer, there were 3 in total. So the first one being July 8th on Blue Line between Waterford and Simcoe, involving a 21-year-old male. That vehicle ran off the roadway and struck a tree. The second one was on the 1st of August on Highway 24 between Waterford and Simcoe. Collision involved 4 vehicles. There was a lot of media attention on that one for sure. And we continue to monitor as one of our initiatives the traffic, including speed on Highway 24. That collision is still being investigated. Third collision on the 15th of August on a farm on Wyndham Road 5 involving a seasonal offshore worker driving a tractor which tipped over and fell into an irrigation pond. Ministry of Labor was engaged in that matter. Of the 911 calls in August, there was 216, lower than the projections, and less than 2016, although up from last month. I will point out that the OPP provincially has relaunched a campaign to remind members of the public about 911 misdials, including the hashtag know when to call. So this is something we continue to educate the public on. For the alarms, in August there were 53. That is lower than projections, up from last month, but down compared to last year. With respect to foot patrol, we had recorded for the month of August 372.75 hours, which is down compared to last month and last year. School visits, there were 3 recorded during the summer months. Bicycle patrol recorded at 6.25 hours, down compared to last year and down overall. With reference to some of the driving charges from June, excuse me, Mr. Chair, just 1 second. So with respect to the driving charges, oh, right, for June, pardon me, that's my confusion. My apology, Mr. Chair. So the driving charges, as we report from June, we have 5 distracted, 2 racing, 230 speeding, 4 seat belt, 9 impaireds, 8 approved screening devices, 9 administrative driver license suspensions, 7 3-day suspensions, 28 ride events, and 9 ride seatbelt events. The provincial fall seatbelt campaign kicked off yesterday and will be ongoing for the next week. With respect to impaired driving specifically, during the reported month, 4 actual events were investigated. This is below the projected range for August and down from last year. Mental Health Act, during the reported month, 47 actual events were investigated. Members were involved in 43 related occurrences, dedicating 246 hours to these investigations. The average year-to-date time spent on calls for service is 5 1/4 hours per occurrence. This is down over last month, but is up compared to last year. Moving on to the focus patrols.
Just a sec, let's stop here. Any
Sure.
questions or comments with respect to the crime statistics to this point? Jim?
And not so much a question as a comment, Mr. Chair. When we were talking about illicit drugs and that sort of thing, last evening, County Council approved the hiring of an additional staff person whose, among their duties, will be developing a naloxone distribution program for treatment of folks that have been suffering opioid-related overdose. And I guess I do have a question for our staff. Are OPP officers already trained to administer that drug and to carry it in their cruisers, or is that something, now that this new provincial program is going to be available in our county, will this be something that we'll be training officers to do?
Thank you. Yes, 97% of our members in Norfolk County are currently trained to carry naloxone, and we will soon be issuing that in the near future. We do not have a date, timeline for delivery or receipt of that product, but we are currently trained. That happened over the summer months.
I'm curious on that. Naloxone, does it have to be refrigerated? Can you keep it in cruisers like it would, or they have to pick it up before they take their cruisers, or?
Yeah, the naloxone, as I understand the plan, will be, there'll be a number supplied to detachment, so they will sit in a location where they will be taken out on patrol. I don't believe they have to be refrigerated, and it is a nasal spray.
Thank you. So we're moving on to focus patrols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll speak to, go by one by one here. The bicycle patrol, Norfolk Trail Systems, from the 12th of June to 3rd of July. There were 7 officers dedicated 7.75 hours of patrol. No suspicious or unwanted activity was noted. Highway 3, Simcoe and Delhi, the Highway Safety Division Big 4, between the 1st of April and the 31st of December, which is ongoing. To date, or as of August 15th, 34 Norfolk County officers dedicated 234.75 hours to this patrol. A total of 62 charges and 10 warnings have been issued to date. Dealing with Highway 24, from Brant County to Simcoe, as I spoke to briefly earlier. Again, the HSD Big 4, between the 1st of April 2017 to the 31st of December 2017. As of the 15th of August, 31 Norfolk County officers dedicated 340.75 hours to this patrol. A total of 196 charges and 3 warnings have been issued. Highway 19 near the Allegan County border, between the 29th of August and the 18th of September. I do not have the results of that focus patrol for today. That's an ongoing as a result of a speed spy study. Front Road, Port Rowan, again between the 29th of August and 18th September. The results of that study are still being compiled, and I do not have those available today. That was also as a result of a speed spy study. The focus patrols that are currently closed, Victoria Street in Simcoe between the 19th of June to the 3rd of July. 5 officers dedicated 5.25 hours. No charges were laid and 1 warning issued. Norfolk County Road 23 and Norfolk County Road 21, Glen Meyer, between the 28th of June and the 16th of July. 2 officers contributed 2.75 hours. 1 charge was laid for speeding. Concession 2, Woodhouse and Port Dover, between the 28th of June and 16th July. 14 officers dedicated 6 hours and a total of 2 charges were laid. on Wilson Ave in Delhi between the 6th of July and the 24th of July. 2 officers dedicated 1.5 hours, and 1 charge was laid. James Street in Delhi between the 24th of July and 7th of August. Unfortunately, no enforcement action was recorded. It did originate from a frontline complaint of speeding, and a speed spy study was conducted to verify if speeding was a concern of the road. And as a result of the study, we did initiate the focus patrol. However, this is currently closed and will be something that we will look at again going forward. Specifically to the one you made mention of earlier, Cockshut Road, Norfolk County, 10 July to 31 August. 9 officers contributed 12.75 hours. 8 charges were laid, along with a driver's license suspension and 3 warnings. Turkey Point Road, between the 10th of July and the 31st of August. 9 officers contributed 19.75 hours, and a total of 6 charges were laid. On Highway 59 in Norfolk, between the 10th of July and the 31st of August, 6 officers contributed 13.5 hours. A total of 10 charges were laid. Before I move on to the speed spy studies, are there any questions about that?
Don't think so.
Okay. So speed spy studies since the last update. On the 27th of June, Dean Street in Simcoe. As a result of the analysis, there was no problem identified and no focus patrol initiated. Also on the 27th of June, Wilson Ave in Delhi, a problem was identified and a focus patrol was initiated. On the 18th of July, James Street in Delhi, problem was identified, a focus patrol was initiated. On the 25th of July, Radical Road, we did speak to that previously. No problem was identified and a focus patrol was not initiated. On the 31st of July, Villanova Road in Townsend, no problem identified, no focus patrol initiated. 31st of July, Brown Street in Port Dover, no problem was identified, no focus patrol initiated. 14th of August, on Front Road in Port Rowan, problem was identified, no focus patrol initiated. On the 21st of August, Highway 19 in Middleton, there was a problem identified and a focus patrol initiative. On the 29th of August, Hamilton Plank Road, Port Dover, there was no problem identified and no focus patrol initiated. Now that's an update since I understand the last meeting, and I do not have all these reports available at this time.
So, I guess when the report is available, if we could get it to Maureen, that would be great.
Yes, we'll do that. So, moving on to a couple other items here. With respect to the Zero Collision, Zero Tolerance Initiative, just an update on the June 19th and 20th. The initiative was held targeting the Big Four on James Street in Delhi and Queen Street in Simcoe. As a result, 27 provincial offense notices were issued for speed, seatbelt, cell phone, validation tag, automobile insurance, and unsecured load infractions. Also, on the September 18th and 19th, the initiative was held targeting Big Four on Plank Road, Highway 6 in Port Dover, and Queensway Street in Simcoe, resulting in 39 provincial offense notices. We do not have the breakdown for this meeting. Additionally, Mr. Chair, I do have a copy of the 2017-2019 action plan for Norfolk County Detachment, which I do not believe has been previously submitted. Is that correct? So I do have a copy, and we have that electronically as well. So I can send a copy to Maureen at first opportunity. Norfolk County is currently involved in planning for the Norfolk County Fair, which is fast approaching. Additionally, Port Dover Friday the 13th event. And with respect to, I do have a couple staffing announcements to make with respect to Norfolk. Brad Wiersma was hired to replace Mike, is it Cosley? Is that correct? Cosley as our fleet manager. So congratulations to Brad. Ms. Nancy Thiessen, administrative assistant, has resigned from the OPP to pursue self-employment, and a replacement was hired to replace her, Angel Gedrimas? Jedrima, pardon me. And Amy Bernardo was a successful applicant for the Crime Stoppers competition, which was held in June. The Potahawk event was held over the summer without incident. Additionally, Acting Staff Sergeant Angela Ferguson, who is here with us today, is in a temporary assignment to assist with operational support and planning of Port Dover Friday the 13th. To backfill her, Acting Sergeant Aaron Howell is also on a temporary assignment on that platoon. And that will conclude the inspector's report.
Any questions for the inspector on his report? Any questions for the inspector on any other subject? Seeing none, if we could have a motion to adopt his report. Moved by Charlie, seconded by Dave Murphy. All in favor? Other business. Speeding in Gilbertson. Charlie, you wanted to talk about that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I don't know what I did with it, but, oh, there it is. It actually should say Gilbertville, not Gilbertson. Gilbertville is the village just south of Delhi from the light down on the Pine Grove Road. And I've had two separate phone calls in the last little while from residents just saying that they have noticed increase of speed, primarily, Mr. Chair, in the sort of 3:30, 4 o'clock time span, and Monday to Friday, they've cited different things, situations. One I recall is a bus coming off a farm from the south into Delhi with offshore workers coming to town. That it's a 60-kilometer there, and it speeds they estimate to be well in excess of 80 or 90 kilometers. One example, they're concerned about safety of kids getting off the bus there. At the end of the school day, they asked if I would please bring this forward and just see if perhaps we could get a few radar cars to come in and just let the public know. And I know that it is a place that when you travel north on that road from the Lindock Road into Delhi, when it kicks back to 60, it's pretty easy just to keep going, and that's often the case when you go from a rural setting into where there's more homes. So anyhow, I said I would bring it forward, and perhaps that's an area that could be just presence may be made known that there is some enforcement going on there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Joe, you've got a comment on it.
Through the chair, most definitely, I will put it as a priority for a speed spy study to determine the exact hours that are most offensive, and we'll do some targeted enforcement there.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Chair. Well done.
Other business. Jim?
Mr. Chairman, I could have brought it up during Sean's report. Sean, I'm glad you mentioned preparations for the Friday the 13th event. Obviously, it may still be a warm weather event, we hope, I guess. Are we anticipating a large crowd and you call in provincial resources for this one because of the season? Could you give us just a little bit more detail on how preparations are going?
Yep, preparations are ongoing, and we will identify what our operational requirements are. We are expecting, given the late nice weather, I guess summer late in the fall. So we are anticipating likely high attendance. What were you estimating?
80 to 100,000.
80 to 100,000. Yeah, so we will identify what those resource requirements are, and we will work and pull in resources provincially as required.
Any other business? Gentlemen, do you have anything for us? Seeing none, if we could move on to question periods. Any questions from anyone in attendance? Seeing none, if I could have a motion to move to closed session. Moved by Dave, seconded by Jim. All in favor? Thank you.